I'm Elizabeth Pardo-Tapia, and this presentation is about the movie Tokyo Story, and it was released in 1953. This is the director of Tokyo Story, Yashiro Uzu. He was born in 1903 Tokyo, but sadly passed away in 1963 by cancer. He was a recognized director for his emphasis on subtle emotions over dramatical action, having a very modest appraisal in Japan, but it has gotten more widespread as it went international. He seems to favor throughout his films to stay in the portrayals of ordinary life within Japan. The director's filmography and style is famously minimalistic and contemplative. In Tokyo Story particularly, he avoids any dramatic conflict and focuses on the everyday life of the people, of the characters. He does some of his more signature movements with the camera is long takes with minimal cuts where the camera is just standstill while we watch the people move around within the frame. The lack of camera movement is so that it could emphasize the quiet, and we could see the observational tone as we see what the characters do and act. And there's also the famous tatami mat shot where it's basically a shot where as though you're kneeling, so it's a very low angled shot. And this just all combines into a very restraining, capturing emotion through the stillness instead of the very over-the-top action of the camera movements. Again, while the film did modestly in Japan, the moment it went international, it gained a lot of traction, specifically in the United States and Europe. It was also voted as the #1 film of all times by directors in 2012. And the film critic, Robert Ebert, called it a great film of beauty and sadness. And it influenced other filmmakers around the world, including Wim Wenders and Abbas Kyriotimi, with the minimalist style and emotional honesty throughout their films. And this is an important film today because not only is it that it's considered a cinematic masterpiece, but because we get a glimpse at the post-war in Japan culture and how it changed the family dynamics. Hon and tatami. Hon is the true personal feelings that one has. Well, tatami is a mask that we put for the public. A good example that I saw within the film was how the children showed tatami towards their elderly parents that came to visit them, but their real home emotions was basically avoiding their real emotional engagement with them, just pushing them to the side. But it's also good to keep in mind that that it is also used to preserve harmony in Japanese communication, which we'll see in the next slide. Kimoku, silence, is actually a strong form of communications within the Japanese culture. And It's a way to preserve harmony without any direct conflict, being seen as not empty with the silence, but as a way to convey respect, empathy, and the emotional depth. And we see these moments between the couples, the elderly couples that come to visit their children. And Tatsumi, again, it kind of overlaps with the emotional restraint that one has to put within the public, which the children are doing when their elderly parents come and stay with them. It's very obvious that they're keeping Tatsume very firmly in place with them. Uchi and Sato. Uchi being the inner group, and those usually consist of family and close friends. While Sato, on the other hand, is more of an outer group, such as like formal, distant, as employees or strangers. And what I found interesting is that the elderly parents treat their daughter-in-law more with Uchi as one of their inner circles, more warmth, more expression, while with their own biological children, they are much more formal and detached with them, creating Sato, formal and distant. And it explains why they are not as close, because the children themselves are keeping it that way. They are unwilling to open up to them, to the elderly parents that came over, treating them as a chore instead of family. Ame is a concept that we haven't gone through module 1 to 3. It's a new concept. Ame is the emotional dependency on others' indulgence. For example, it could be based on trust that others will indulge your needs. Such another example from the movie Tokyo Story is the elderly parents expect affection from their children. They don't say it. And when the children ignore them and their unspoken needs, it creates an emotional pain for the elderly parents that came all this way to Tokyo to visit them. Another example that kind of leads to this is, again, when they come back from the hotel that the children put their parents in so that they wouldn't have to take care of their parents, the elderly parents. They when they come back to stay the night at one of their children's houses, they are basically kicked out because there's no room for them, which just only causes the emotional pain to go deeper. And to end this is my reference page. All the information that I use throughout this presentation is right here. So have a great day, and thank you very much for seeing my presentation.